Okay. Yeah. Just a minute. Just a quick check. All right. See, we're live on LinkedIn. Just some quick check. We're also live on Twitter.
Okay.
I'm also live on YouTube. So in case you're joining us right now, please share the links with your friends. Share the links with everyone you can ever think of, your employers, your employees, your friends, who are wishes. Share the link. Let's learn together. Okay, good evening, good morning, good afternoon. From wherever you're joining us from, I'm Ubong Matthew, your host for today. I'm here on An Hour with Manager weekly live podcast, and I'm here with a very wonderful guest today, in person of Tony Wachira, who is going to share some very interesting and wonderful discussion with us. Or we'll call him the Mr. Influencer, yeah, or the influential man. I'm going to call him the influential man. So yeah, please let's give it up for Tony Wachira. Good evening. Thank you very much for joining us here at An Hour with the Manager.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me, Ubong.
You're welcome. I hope you're expecting the best from this today, and more.
I am.
All right.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah. Good evening, everybody. So wherever you're joining us from, please feel free to share the links. Invite your friends. Invite your employers, your employees. Let them come join us here today. Let's continue to learn valuable information together. Let's learn those important things we need as professionals to keep us going. Yeah, last week Thursday, we had to look on how to manage a professional network, right? Because here we understand that this journey of professional space is not that easy when you have to move alone, right? But if you have the right people to move with you, I think it's going to make a whole lot of sense. And that is the reason why An Hour with Manager is here today to continue to help you, guide you through that process of your professional journey, from when you start to when you get to your advanced level to even when you get to your professional level, where you can confidently do the things, network, collaborate, and work with more people, right? So today we're looking at how you can still navigate that career path, right? How you can stay strong at it, how you can, make mistakes early, at least, without being scared of anything. Understand that and trust the process, right? So our guest today would help us, go detailed to that and share more and more information and insight with us. But personally, if you're joining us alone, trust me, like I'll tell you, I'm not very okay with that, because this show is not for Ubong Matthew, nor is it for Tony Wachira alone, but it's for every one of us from different parts of the world. So please do also share the link, invite your friends, invite your folks from wherever they are. Let them come join us. Let's learn this valuable information together. And trust me, if you're in your pajamas, probably it's evening for you, or maybe at work, you can as well invite your folks, right? Let them come spend lunch with you, right? So you can get some water or something. But still, thank you very much, everybody, for always trusting us and believing in us to going to deliver the best information with you. And welcome to An Hour with the Manager today. And my team is also saying hi too. Thank you very much, everybody. Okay, so yeah, Tony Wachira, I know a whole lot of people are actually wondering who has Ubong brought today, who has An Hour with Manager brought in today to speak with them, to share information with them. Please tell us more about you and what you've been doing so far. And that thing that keeps you going, keeps you motivated, that keeps you always wanting to have more, despite the challenges, despite the difficulties you encounter. But still, whenever you encounter success, you always feel very good and happy about it.
Thank you, Ubong. I am delighted to be a part of the evening of the people who have joined us, and I am trusting that we're going to learn a lot together. My name is Tony Wachira. I am from Kenya. I am dialing in from Nairobi. Delighted. And I love, my passion is people development and helping them discover themselves, discover their unfair advantage. So I run a business called The Influential, and I am a certified coach. I'm a certified trainer. So most of the things that we do are around people development. We have a signature course. We have our signature course that we love helping people with, organizations and people. We call it Find Your X Factor. And you find your X Factor by discovering your strengths, then combining your strengths with your passions. So you have your array of strengths and you have your array of passions, and then also discovering your values, your core values. And where those three meet, you find your X factor, which is your unfair advantage, which is your value differentiator. And then you use that to navigate your transitions successfully. But at a personal level, I believe I have found my X factor. I do what I love. I do what I'm passionate about, and I do it in my values. And my personal vision is to make holistic leaders who make holistic leaders here in our continent of Africa. Ubong.
Thank you very much, Anthony, for that. When you made mention of something, I just remembered a culture or a tradition we always have here. So please, to everyone who is joining us, if you have any question, any contributions or any suggestions to share, please feel free to send them to my DM or you forward them to the comment box. We really appreciate that. If you don't feel very okay, maybe your name to be on the comment box, you can send them to my DM and I'll definitely share here with my guest. So Tony, I want to ask quickly, you made mention of finding your X factor. How did you find that? How did you get through that process? Because I know it's not a day's job actually.
A fantastic question, Ubong. And it was a journey, honestly. And today I actually posted something on LinkedIn. I called it the abridged version of my career story, because I began working as a 17-year-old. When I finished my high school, I got my first job. And my first job was in a fast food joint. I was in the back room preparing fries. I was peeling the potatoes and cleaning the dishes. It was a very difficult job for a 17-year-old. And I talked about how I moved on. I became a waiter, and I talked about many, many jobs that I have held. And in that journey, there were things that I did well. There were things I did not do very well. And I started learning that I have different strengths and that I have areas that I am not strong in. So learning to harness my strength and doing what I was good at really helped me in my career journey. And I remember there's a job that I did that I didn't quite enjoy, but I was pretty good at it. And I was actually Employee of the Year. So I learned that strengths can help you navigate your career path. I also learned that if I combined my strength with what I loved, so I'm doing something that I'm good at, and I also have the passion for it, that there I had found something very special. And in fact, my last employment before getting into business was in the training industry, because that's my passion. I like developing people. So when I combined those two, I remember even my friends, because I was working for a multinational, and then I quit a multinational to join a startup because they were doing what I loved. So I combined my strengths with my passion in that place. And even my friends said I looked different, I sounded different, I was more positive, I looked more motivated. There was just a difference, even from the people. They could see that difference. And then later now, of course, the whole place of values, because if you don't do it in your own, if you don't agree with the values, then there's a value mismatch. So that's kind of how I landed into this whole X Factor thing, because I've lived through it myself. I've been through some jobs that I didn't enjoy, worked my way into places doing work that I enjoyed, into starting a business that I love, working in my strengths, my passions, and doing it within the values that I hold dear as well.
Wow. Thank you very much, Tony, for breaking that down. So quickly, talking about the topic of today, navigating career changes, right? So in getting in finding your X factor, how did you get to navigate your career changes? And first, what should we understand by navigating your career changes before we get to the other point?
All right. So navigating career changes, firstly, is moving from one career to another, or just moving along the career that you're in, because some people will hold on to the same career for a long time, while others, and especially the younger generations, will move through different careers, sometimes through different jobs. And though the older generation, because they were more loyal than the younger generation, they would stay in a job for long. Sometimes they frown upon the younger generation because of moving jobs. But research says that nowadays, I was reading some research, by the way, from the US market that was saying people take up to 15 jobs before they quit nowadays. So the times have really changed. Yeah, people take up to 15 jobs. And I consider I am in my 40s, so I am not a millennial. I'm not a Gen Z. I'm just slightly above the millennial. But
Yeah.
when I was writing, I saw how many jobs I have had, and I was in shock. I have had many jobs, man. So it is there's nothing wrong with having many jobs,
Yeah.
and we should not be afraid even to change careers. And as we continue with this conversation, I'll be talking about how I have actually switched careers, because like I told you, what I began, because I was actually paid for those odd jobs before going to college. I was paid.
Yeah.
Then while in
Of course.
college I did some other work. Yeah. So I'll be talking about how, because I moved from a potato peeler to a waiter to a coach. Man, those are different jobs, and in between there are others that I did that are just completely different. Yeah.
Wow. Wow.
Mhm.
Thank you for also helping us understand all of this point, because
Mhm.
the whole career path, or the whole process of moving with positive impact, believing in what you've not seen, right? You're just believing that, where you're going to somehow is going to lead you somewhere. But
Yeah.
for you, you believe this is where you want to get to, but you probably get there and you might get more, or you might get less, or you might get nothing. But you have to
Mhm.
still continue the journey, right? So in looking at career changes, I
Mhm.
feel like maybe the more the world is advancing, the more changes, the more people are also adapting to some of those things, right? And I feel like even the
Mhm.
millennials are also going to swiftly do that, and I'm sure you've also seen that happening, right?
Yeah. The changes, yes, the changes are present. And one of the things that I was hoping to come and say here is that change is normal. Change is a perpetual state of life. And in my work as a coach, I actually help people in transitions. One of my passions is just helping people in transitions, because we are, whatever, every stage that we are in, we are there for a season. Life
Okay.
is different seasons. Yeah, life is
Mm-hmm.
different seasons. And even when we look at different generations, the older generation had their season, and then they ushered in a new generation who are ushering a new generation who will usher in another new generation. So change is constant, and we want to be alive to that, and we want to accept it instead of fearing it, instead of hating it. We want to understand it. That's where I would go with that topic. Change is okay.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you. So
Mhm.
to everybody joining us today, on the topic of navigating your career journey with confidence, we'll be having some points of conversation here, and that's embracing change as a perpetual state of being. He's also going to share with us embracing transitions, finding your unfair edge during change, and best practice for building a supportive network and community. Which of this topic connect with you? Please feel free to share some questions, some contributions, and let's continue to learn and share together. We're live on YouTube, we're live on Twitter, we're also live on LinkedIn. So feel free to connect and share the link across to friends or with your folks. Thank you very much, Tony. So
Mhm.
looking at the first point here, embracing change as a perpetual state of being, right? So what
Mhm.
did this resonate with you when you first thought about it?
So, please come again. I missed one part of the question.
Embracing change as a perpetual state of being.
Yes. Uh-huh.
So my
What's the
question is,
question?
what did it resonate? What did it resonate to you when you thought about it?
When I talk about it, all right. So when I talk about embracing change as a perpetual state of being, it is understanding that life as we know it is a series of changes. Some some expected, some unexpected. Like for instance, when I am born, when you think of a child, children when the children have milestones, and those milestones are big changes for them. For
Yeah.
us who have been through that, it may not look like a big deal because we've already that's behind us.
Yeah.
When we go to school, we go to primary school, we go to high school, we go to college, we get our first job, we start dating. All those are transitions. All those are changes, and that is what life is all about. Different changes. I like to describe changes or transitions as as chapters in a book, or like a series that you enjoy. So
Yeah.
you have season one, you have season two, you have season three, and then I like to tell the people that you should be a star in that series. It is your life. You should not be a supporting cast. You should be a star in the series of your life. Or if we talk about the book of your life, you should be the main character, and you should live every chapter so well that your book should be a bestseller if it was going to be written. So that's how I look at life. It's a perpetual state. We are always changing. We are always growing. We are always learning, or at least we should be.
Okay, Mr. Tony, please, when you shared your experience, moving
Mm,
from having to move as what do you call it, as a waiter up down to becoming a coach.
mhm.
When in particular did this change really make a significant difference with you, that you always stick to remember and say, oh, this moment is one of that moment that if I didn't make this step, if I didn't make this movement, if I didn't make this change, if I didn't move from this place to this place, I'm not sure
Mm.
I'll be able to reach this point where I am today. Right? Whenever you look back, you think about it, it gives you that feeling of yesterday, that feeling of that very moment that you always look up to.
Wow. And now that's a very good question, and it's a bit difficult to pinpoint the moment, but I'll try. So when I was young, I was influenced a lot by a man called Miles Monroe. Miles Monroe was a preacher, a speaker, a writer, and I read some of his books. One of the ones that I read when I was younger was In Pursuit of Purpose, and I don't remember the other one, Maximizing Your Potential. Those ones, they really changed my outlook to life. And I remember wanting to help people discover their potential. I remember that from I was a teenager, or in my early 20s thereabouts. And I remember visiting schools and being a peer educator. So I was in no, I had just finished high school, and now I would go back to
Yeah.
high school and talk about the issues that people in high school deal with. So we'll talk about drugs, we'll talk about peer pressure, we'll talk about studying for exams, and so on and so forth. And I remember
You were
enjoying
you were
that
doing
so
this
much.
at that age.
Yeah,
You were doing this at that age.
yes, at that age, yes. With the
Wow.
guidance, I wasn't doing it alone, thankfully, with the guidance of an older
Wow.
person who was already doing
That's
this.
amazing.
But I loved it. I loved being allowed to speak to the young people. And then I also remember volunteering at my local church at the time to lead
Okay.
young people. So, and the whole issue of helping people find out what they are good at and become better versions of themselves was a running theme for me. So at that point, I think I was on the right trajectory. However, after college, I got a job in a completely different environment, and everything went haywire. Everything went haywire for a few years, and then that I worked in a logistics company for the longest. And in fact, my longest stint in a job was 11 years, 11, maybe 12 years. And I loved it at the beginning, but then midway, I started feeling this was not for me. I was not growing. I was not creating the impact I thought that I should. And eventually, I left a multinational for a startup because I felt that my gifts and my passions would be better served in the new place, despite the fact
Yeah.
that there was not much security in there. And I jumped ship and I actually joined a startup. And after working the startup for 2 years, I left the startup and actually started a business. But the point where I left the multinational is when I was sure I was shifting gears to do what was in line with my mission in this life. I was
Yeah.
combining. That's where my strengths and passions were now beginning to be combined and to
Yeah.
earn a living doing something that I loved and that I was good at.
Of course. Of
Yeah.
course. Of course.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for that. And like the ending, when you say you have to earn a living, because in all, when you have a
Mm.
passion, you still have to convert your passion, but probably find how your passion can also feed, can also move you, can also push you, so that that passion can be stronger, and you can also connect that to other people, and also people to also share the light. Because it's one
Mm.
thing to carry change, like you've mentioned, through your journey. Looking at those significant times is another thing to see it, acknowledge it, and also move with it. Also use it to also help others, also spread the light for others to also see. Like I believe that you still have people who still walk up to you and still come back to you and be like, "Oh, Tony, thank you for what you did for me back then. Thank you for what you did for me back then." And I know it always give you that very good moment.
Oh
Right?
yes. Oh yes. I love that very much. And I thank God for those moments, man. Those moments are amazing. Sometimes you don't even know what you did. And even me, there are people I walk up to and tell them, you did this for me, and they can't even remember and they're in shock. And when the reverse happens to me, I feel a warmth that I cannot explain because, like I told you, I started wanting to work and help people realize their potential when I was really young. And now, currently, I do that. I help people find their mission. I help them discover their strengths, even the ones that sometimes they have hidden because of the work they're in. I help them discover their passions. Sometimes we get into a job that completely covers our passions or our strengths or both, and sometimes compromises our values so that we don't even recognize ourselves anymore. So in my work, I kind of help people rediscover those things and then reconnect to those and start living a more authentic life. Yeah.
Okay, so so while navigating your career changes, right, while building that confidence, now how do you build resilience? How do you build that strength that, I'm moving with this is the decision I want to take, and I believe in this decision that it's going to be, however it
Mhm.
is, whatever I face, it's my decision, no regrets.
I love that. That one, I have lived that more than once. So one of the things that you need to have is a conviction. You need to be convicted that the direction you are taking is the one you want to take, because there
Okay.
will always be naysayers. And especially when you are walking the road less traveled. But perhaps you're changing perhaps you want to make a transition from what seems to be a real good looking position, and you are going to a place where we don't understand, we who are your friends, we who are your family, but you have counted the cost, you have searched your heart, and you are convicted that this is the right move. So you first need conviction. You need the right mindset, because we are going to bombard you with our ideas of what success looks like, of what your career trajectory should look like. And we have all these ideas because we believe different things than you do. So you need you need to have the right mindset, and you need mental fortitude to keep going where you feel is in the right direction. That's number one. Number two, I know that you had a fantastic session about networking. You need people on your side, from your network or from your family. You need at the very least one person on your side, because career changes are not easy. They're not easy. So you do want someone that you want to talk to. You want someone that you will vent. You want to rant sometimes if things are not going the way you thought they would go immediately, and you're having to adapt. You want to talk to somebody. You want someone who's supporting you. So those are two of the most important things according to me. And you need a plan as well. You don't just jump ship and hope that things are going to work. You need to plan. Yes.
Wow. You in your first point when you were talking about how to find the right path. Now, but
Mhm.
I know a whole lot of people find that very difficult to know. Oh, okay, maybe this is the right path. Oh, this is what I need to do. Because personally, I've
Mm.
also had to encounter that. Before I even had to say, oh, and now with the manager, it's really what I should settle in and say, oh, let me give you my 100%. Let me not just do it like, oh, let me just do it passively. Because before now, whenever it's Thursday like this, I'm feeling very nervous. Right? I like
Mhm.
to share it because
Yeah.
it also helped me understand. Oh, it means there's also process, there's also levels to growth. If only
Yeah.
you're patient with yourself, right? So whenever it's Thursday like that, I'm always feeling very nervous. I'm always feeling scared, like, oh, it's Thursday again. How am I going to do this? But over time, I get to enjoy it. I'm like, when it's Thursday, I'm feeling good, right? So
Yeah.
how do you find, how do you know that that is the right direction? How do you feel it? How do you get to know that, oh, how do you get to point and say that this thing is the right thing for you to say? Like you mentioned, like you choose, oh, this is how it worked for you, and this is what worked best for you.
Okay. So I'm a man of faith. So I pray. For me, I pray, and then I look at the gifts that I have, and like I talked about that whole X factor thing. For me, I feel that every stage of your life you should be creating impact. You should be feeling that you are making a contribution. The moment you start feeling that you're not making a contribution, that is a sign that maybe your time here is done. The moment you feel that I can do this with my eyes closed, you need to start thinking, maybe I am done here. The moment you feel that this job is boring me, I've gotten to a place where I am stuck. All those are pointers to a different season knocking. And sometimes you don't necessarily need to change career. Sometimes you might want to just to change functions or a few things. You might want to change things around so that you see whether you can find a new challenge, a new thrill, some passion in what you do. So you always want to begin where you are before you think outside. What can I do different here to regain my passion? Can I be passionate about what I'm doing? You begin there. If you are trying all of these things and you are feeling the same way, then perhaps it is time to look outside. Now, let me say this. There are times to survive because we need to earn a living. There are periods when we need to survive. During the period of survival, you do what you need to do to survive. So you might even take a job that you don't quite enjoy. You might take a job that you don't quite love because it is time to survive. But we are not built to survive forever. We need to survive and then start thriving. Now, the point of thriving is where you need to find your place. You need to find your impact. You need to find your strength and your passions and start linking those so that you're doing a much better job because you're more authentic. But if you're always surviving, then there's a problem there.
Why do you say so?
I'm saying so because we are not built to survive. Even the way our brain works, survival mode is is a fight, flight, or freeze mode. So we are not built to live like that. But we do need, sometimes we find ourselves in a space where we have to live like that. For instance, if you lost your job, and I have lost a job, I mean, like I told you, I moved spaces. After high school, after college, I was a salesperson. I was an electrical technician because I studied electrical engineering before going back to school and studying other things before becoming a certified coach. So I have all of these things that I did. So parts of that life involved surviving because I had no money. So when you don't have money, you take the job that you get, not the job that you want.
Yeah.
But you cannot always be in the job that you get. You need to find the job that you want at some point after surviving, because you take the job that you get to survive, to pay the bills, to save some money.
Of course.
To train. Today I was speaking to people who ride bikes. I don't know whether in Nigeria you have all these bikes in the streets. We have a lot of bikes in this. Bikers, and they offer transport services. They are a mode of transportation here for human beings.
Oh yeah, we do.
Public transport. You have that?
Like the Okada.
So we are. What do you call them there?
Is it like Okada?
Or is it yes, like Okada. Yes, here we call them boda. We call them boda. Yes. So it's like a taxi. It's like a motorcycle taxi. Yeah. So these guys, they are very unruly. They are considered a menace to society. But we have programs that we are offering them to help them realize that they run a business, that they need to be careful on the roads, that they need to think about their customers, and so on and so forth. And we were talking about survival, and one of them told us the way he was actually selling weed, and his wife is the one who came and helped him get out of that because he saved up some money and then told him, sweetheart, let's pay for you a course so that you can study carpentry, so that you stop doing this illegal business and start doing work that is more meaningful. And he was able to get out of that. So he was in survival mode. So he was actually committing crime. So you see, survival mode is not good. Sometimes it sends you to the wrong place. But you can save up and get yourself out of that. By now, he went and studied carpentry, and then now he's got a bike, and they run a business, a carpentry business, and he runs a bike business. And that's what I'm talking about. There's a time to survive. When things are tough, you take the job that is on offer because you need the money, but you're not designed to stay there forever. Save up some money, network, do what it takes to look for the job that you're creating better impact with your strengths, what you're good at, and hopefully even what you love to do, and combine those. Yes, sir.
Well, okay, so in understanding what you've said, right, that survival mode is not very effective. Yes, it's not what we were born for. But we often hear that survival mode brings the best out of people. But so will you also agree to that, or it's not something we should also look at? Because I think like some people perform more during this period because you get to do so many things.
I like that, by the way, Ubong, because so you see, I love what we're talking about. We're talking about the confidence to make career changes. Now,
yes,
survival mode it can bring the best out of us. Actually, it should, because to survive, we have to call on strengths we did not know. You get that? Yeah. So we have to build grit. We have to build even that confidence, because let's say that you had this nice job and now things have gone south. You have lost your good job and you have been forced to take a job way lower than the one you had. So naturally, we feel less than we were. So it takes a great deal of confidence for us to continue being the person we were, earning less, living in a different place, and our whole life, the way we knew it, is different. It takes a lot of confidence. It takes a lot of grit. It takes so many skills. Sometimes you have to learn new skills. So yes, survival is a place where you can discover new skills that you didn't know you had. Survival is a place where you can discover passions that you didn't know you had. Survival is a place where you can discover strengths that you didn't know you have.
Oh, thank you for that. To move into the next point here, the question is, how do you embrace transition? How do you embrace that moment where you're feeling low, that moment where that moment when you feel like, oh, this is the decision you think you have to make and you have to move it? Just quickly to the audience here, Dr. Collins, thank you very much for joining us. Thank you very much for the comments here. It's saying navigating career transitions confidently is about embracing change, believing in yourself, and employing effective strategies here. Thank you very much, Dr. Collins, for tuning in, and we appreciate that comment. So back to this. So how do you embrace transition? How do you embrace it and know that, okay, this period is a period where you have to give in your best. You just have to, build that confidence. You have to leverage it, because sometimes that period comes and we don't still learn. We don't still get to, get the benefit out of it, because sometimes I see it as a period where you have to listen, where you have to pay great attention to yourself. So how do you embrace that period of transition and know that it's going to be better tomorrow or anytime?
Wow, I love that question as well. So how we embrace transitions again comes back to our mindset, believing that change is the perpetual state of life. And I have a friend of mine who says that changes or transitions they happen through time and space. And when he says that, he talks about time being life. So as life continues, we change. So we are not the same person we were 10 years ago, and so on and so forth. So it happens through time. And we grow, we learn, or at least we should be growing, and we should be learning, and we should be learners, continuous learners. Then when he talks about transitions happening through space, it is the different places the different organizations that we find ourselves in as we make these transitions. So embracing transition means that we need to remember that we will change, even we ourselves. We don't think the same way, we don't act the same way, we may even we don't look the same way. We get gray hair as we grow older, we get wrinkles.
Yeah.
So if those are parts of life, then our mindset should be that change will come. So that when it comes, the change curve, there's this theoretical change curve that is nice. You begin from a point like up here. When the change comes, it drops here as you're fighting with it. Then you get to a place where you accept it and you start coming up. The theory is very good. The reality is not as smooth as that curve. It is
Yeah.
so you have to have the right mindset and empathize with yourself, because sometimes the thoughts that come, you are confused, you are upset, you are angry. All those are okay as long as you empathize with yourself and you give
Yeah.
yourself time to process these things as you're going through these transitions and through these changes. But because you are trying to embrace it, you move at your own pace. You move at your own pace, but make sure you're moving forward. I love the quote by Martin Luther King Jr. If you can't fly, walk. If you can't walk, crawl. But by all means, keep moving. Even if you're moving inches, keep moving forward. That's you're embracing transitions. I am here now. So I need to move from here to there. Even if I'm just going to make one step today, that's all I'll do. But I'm moving towards accepting this and moving forward.
Okay. Thank you for sharing that quote from Martin Luther. But I want to go back to your illustration about the whole Nike sign and people moving in the process, right? So
Yes.
have you ever from your whole coaching period and process, have you noticed people probably when they go through that whole process, when you start moving down the curve and then you start sinking, it looks like, oh, it's never going to happen anymore. Do you find people give up more or still accept it? Because I know that point where you have to curve, that point you have to take up again, is a point where you have to build all of this resilience, your confidence, you have to build that strength and move.
Yes.
How do people complain about that a lot or something?
Yes, they do. Yes, they do a lot. And I have been there. The beauty of this story that we're sharing, Ubong, even before I became a coach, like I'm telling you. In fact, what I didn't tell you is that my last job, I actually was laid off in my last job. Before starting a business, I was actually laid off. I was a family man and I had to go through the same curve myself, accepting that I didn't have that nice job that I loved, accepting that there was not going to be checks. I don't have a paycheck coming every month. Accepting that I don't have the privileges that I had. I was entitled to cabs. I was going with a cab anywhere I wanted because the company was paying for that. All of those niceties were now gone. And when we are going through that depression in the change curve, sometimes we feel like we want to despair. Sometimes we feel like we want to give up. Well, that was the question. Yes, that happens a lot. However, like we said earlier, when you're going through transition, what do you need? If you need the right network, you need the right people. If it is a transition, if it's a career change where you didn't choose, you need to get. Sometimes it means getting a new network of people who have been through this or who are going through something like this. If you are taking a path that is new, so you are the one who quit or you are the one who's moving from this job to another one and we don't understand, then you create a new network of people who do things like those, who are outliers, who do things differently. So the networking is very, very important because people are the ones who hold you up. We are a community. You don't do this alone. You don't do this alone. Yes.
Wow. So just to re-emphasize on our discussion last week on networking, right? So how important is networking is for us as professionals, when trying to navigate that whole career change, that whole process, right? How important is it from your own experience and what you've seen so far?
From my own experience and even in my coaching, I feel that networking is super important and that we are not told that enough. Because for me to get out of this depression, I need a leg up. I need someone to pull me up. And the people who pull me up, the people who help me see opportunities, the people who help me to stop sinking in the depression. There are people in my tribe, there are people in my network. I remember that when I lost my job, I had to first off, because I needed to survive, I had to do online writing. That's what I did. I defaulted to because I had writing skills. I'm a trained writer. So I defaulted to doing online writing. I was writing articles. Then I was still looking for training work because I was already a certified trainer. The
Yeah.
first persons to give me work were the people in my network. In fact, the very first job that I got was from somebody I had worked with when I was still employed, because I kept the relationship. We had kept in touch. They gave me a job. The second person to give me a job was a person in my network who knew what was going on, who was concerned about my well-being, who knew my strengths, and they invited me to go with them to do some work together. And that opened a new door of opportunities, which is the same thing I see even with people. You have to keep a network of people who you trust and who care about your well-being. Sometimes it is, and sometimes during the change, you may keep some of the old ones, and then sometimes you get new ones. Yeah.
Thank you very much for re-emphasizing that. And to everybody who is joining and streaming this very discussion today, and those who will be watching this later, please continue to stream this, continue to share this, continue to like, subscribe to our YouTube, subscribe to our social media platform, click the like button, follow us, join us. Let's continue to know that we have people who are engaging, who are interested in discussions like this, because like I said, an Hour with Manager is not just for Ubo or Matthew and our guests, but it's for everybody. It's for every professional out there who is also looking for ways to navigate their career journey, who's looking for a platform where they can also get quality information to help them manage through their organizational brands, build their personal brands, build their confidence, build their resilience, and also keep you updated with information that can help you better your business and personal brand too. So please continue to stream and let's continue to learn together. And also, I just want to share with you guys that, like I said in the last live, we'll be launching a magazine in October. That will be also, tied up to our anniversary. So please feel free to stay tuned. We have a link, so continue to subscribe. Sign up to let us know. We have people who are waiting to see that. And trust me, you're going to see something amazing from us. And trust the value we're bringing to you. So please, if you are appreciating this, going to send in your questions, send in your comments, and we'll continue to share that with our guests here today. So a question here from the audience, please. My comment box actually. How do you position yourself in an industry of a new role or in a new role? How do you position yourself so that you can always going to get the best benefit from it?
How do you position yourself
in a new role or in an industry that maybe
in a new role?
Yeah.
Oh, how do you position? All right. How do you position yourself in the role so that you get the best? All right. That's a very interesting question. And from some of the things that we are saying, you network within the place where you work, and you network by building authentic relationships. There are people who build relationships that are not authentic, and we can read body language so easily. So learn to compliment people for things that are complimentary, that deserve a compliment. Don't tell somebody that they have a nice dress if you don't think it's nice. Your body language is going to betray you. So you start by just creating authentic relationships. The other thing is that you do your job well. You do your job well.
Very important.
Very important, yes. You do your job well so that you stand out. When you stand out, it's very easy to be noticed. And then figure out how to make noise about your contributions. Some of us are really good, but we are very quiet. We hope that the bosses will notice. That doesn't work all the time. So you figure out how to make sure that your achievements are being seen. Volunteer for, if they have this, volunteer for extra duties that help you sharpen your skills, especially if they're in line with something that you're good at or a job that you're eyeing. All right? Yeah. All of those things add up. And there's also how we dress. Now, I know that a lot of companies, we have a lot of dress down happening now, but I was told someplace that you should dress for the job you want, not the one you have. So if I want the next job, I need to start dressing like the people who hold that position. So it's a combination of things. And then curiosity. Ask questions, learn, become an understudy, volunteer to help the person who you want to learn from. All of these things add up to you looking different, to you looking better than the other people.
Okay. When you said we should dress like the job we want, I just had a little joke here that we shouldn't actually dress. Maybe if you're looking for an engineering job or maybe an oil sector job, you shouldn't be wearing helmets to walk on the street because looking for the job. Actually, no. Just move to where you find people like yourself. Move to where you find people like yourself, where you can always get to connect, get to share with them, and get to look like them. Actually, get over time you get to connect. But thank you very much, Tony, for that, for sharing that very in-depth conversation, because it's one thing to move through your career journey. It's another thing to see how to get the best value, connect with people, network, stay consistent with it, because it's building a network takes time. At least Caroline, who connected me to you, or we've known at least from Rosabella and all of that, and it's been from one network to the next network to the next network. Everybody connect, and because it's something good. When it's good, you'd always get to connect and reach where you're going to. But thank you very much for sharing that. We have another question here from an audience actually saying, how can someone maintain confidence when they experience setbacks or failure during a career transition? Just to re-emphasize on that. I know we've shared something like that before.
Awesome. That's a fantastic question. And we're saying that we should always fight to not lose ourselves, because when we realize that changes are part of life, then we won't be, we will go through this. We know that it takes, there's a progression in transition and in change. And the first stage is that one of confusion. So empathize with yourself. Remember that it is normal. It is normal to feel a certain way, especially when those changes begin. Now, we talked about having a team, a network, somebody on your corner. Have somebody in your corner, because they help ground you. They help remind you who you are. They help remind you that perhaps the career change, you may have lost a position, but you've not lost your expertise. You've not lost your skills. You've not lost what you can do. So you need a consistent reminder. Another thing is just for looking at something to calm you down. Maybe you have a hobby. Maybe you have something that you like doing. Maybe it's journaling. Maybe it's writing. Maybe it's watching a sport. I don't know, whatever it is that you like, it helps you calm down. Because when we are going through a transition, or a difficult transition in particular, sometimes it is very easy to lose sight of ourselves. And I'm reminded of COVID-19. When we went through COVID-19, one of the things that really helped is having a routine. So this is also a clue when we're going through difficult changes. A routine, you don't want your life to have your whole life to be ordered, that at this time you do this all the time. That's not what I'm saying, but have some kind of routine. It helps keep you grounded, so that you don't lose yourself. And then to remember that it's not permanent. The deep, eventually the valley comes up to the hill at some point.
Wow, thank you very much. Talking about routine, that is a very, very important point, right? Having something to wake up to, maybe wake up to, daily exercise, daily motivation, daily thoughts about where you want to go, believing in yourself that it's definitely going to work best for you. And I will continue to share that. This whole discussion today is majorly for everyone who is also finding that challenge, that problem, feeling maybe, because maybe I lost my job and trying to maybe look for something else, trying to move from this point to the next point, to look from this industry to the next industry, feeling that fear that it's not okay for me to do it, but believe that it's definitely possible. Like what our guest here sharing with us today is very amazing. And develop all of these things, put it to practice. Most important, that is what we want. We don't want you to just listen. While you're listening, try to put these things to practice, because I believe in them. And that's why I also have this discussion, because it's from personal experience. It also affects me. It's something that I see in my journey. And if you also speak to the professionals, you also hear that, it's something that you always experience while you're moving, like our guest here today is sharing with us. So please, while you're listening to this discussion today, continue to put these things to practice. Let's continue to learn and share valuable information together. Okay, we also have another important question here that came in, right? You made mention of mindset, and I think this question just came in right on time. I'm talking about
All right.
how do you, yeah. So the question is, how can someone cultivate a growth mindset in their career?
Wow. I love all things about mindset. And I want to just begin by saying, by telling you the power of the mindset. So I'll quote two authors, and one author is Stephen Covey. Stephen Covey says that your mindset affects your behavior, and your behavior affects your results. Then Harv Eker says the same thing. He says your mindset affects your feelings affect your actions, and your actions give you certain results. They say the same thing, but in different words. Uh,
Yeah,
Ralph Waldo Emerson said, "You saw an action, you saw a thought, you reap an action. You saw an action, you reap a habit. You saw a habit, you reap a destiny." So they're saying the same thing. So,
process to
and for
creation.
the scholars of the Bible, so go ahead. Ubong.
Yeah. No, I said process to creation.
Uh-huh. Yes, yes. And the Bible does say, as a person thinks, so are they. So you have to remember that your mindset is your most powerful weapon. It is your greatest X factor. It's your differentiator, because your mindset is dictated by your worldview, how you view your world, how your paradigm about something. So you want to challenge how you think about things all the time. So
Okay.
Stephen Covey says that a lot of times we see things as we are, not as they are. So we want to see things the right way. So we want sometimes to suspend our judgment and try to see things from all points of view to make sure that what we are seeing is the right thing. So to cultivate a mindset of growth is to become a lifelong learner, to be curious, to approach things with curiosity, ask more questions, listen more, instead of approaching things thinking that you know. Because when you know, then you may not learn. But when you are curious, then you may learn because you want to know. Dealing with people, instead of telling, you ask. Ask more. Ask questions. Get to know people. Be curious about things. Be curious about processes. So that you're always learning. And then when you keep doing this, it becomes your habit. You start getting different results. Because even when working with people don't want to be told all the time. In fact, one of the skills in networking that I learned in a place is when you go to a networking event, go and ask questions as opposed to go and tell them about your business. Ask them about their business, and you will be more memorable than everybody else. They'll be saying there was something different about that guy. And it's because they are the ones who spoke the whole time. They were telling you about their business.
Okay, so talking about continuous learning, why is continuous learning very important in building a growth mindset? Why is continuous learning important?
Okay. It's because of the continuous change. When you think about how we are doing business, even this call, a few years ago, this was not possible. We would have to be in the same room. We'd have to be we would have to be in the same space to do a call like this. But now this is commonplace. We have work
Yeah,
from home. We have remote work. So all of these
yeah,
changes that have happened in our lifetime mean that whether we like it or not, we are always learning. Then there's this gadget called a smartphone. My father, who is in his 70s, uses a smartphone. He's on Facebook. He doesn't know, but he has been learning so much. He knows how to use that gadget because the utility that the gadget gives him makes him think that he's not learning. But he's actually learning because when he was born, he was using the phone that has a cord. Then he
yeah,
had a mobile phone, now a smartphone. So when we look at learning in that way, that it is useful, then learning becomes even a little bit more fun. So how do we do this? We do this by beginning to learn about our industry. We look at our industry. We look at what is changing in our industry. We look at how technology is interacting and affecting our industry. That way, we are always learning about our industry. And then other things about other things that interest us. I am interested about sports. Learn as much as you can about sports. I am interested about animals. Learn as much as you can about animals, so that you're always learning. So in the fields of your interest, in the fields where you work, you always know a little bit about what's going on. Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, so we have another important point here from our audience. Dr. Collins here is saying, before you make any drastic moves, take some time to evaluate your current situation and your goals for the future. Why do you want to change careers? What are you looking for in a new role? How will it affect your finances, lifestyle, and family? What are the risks and benefits of switching paths? Be honest and realistic with yourself and weigh the pros and cons of your decision. Does that also ring a bell to you?
Absolutely. I totally agree with him. That's counting the cost. You count the cost. Even when
How do you count the cost? Is that how you count the cost? Yeah.
Yes, those are some of the things that you look, because if I am going to switch this career to that one, so I was coaching somebody who was telling me they were getting a job. They have four children. One of their core values, and they didn't even know this, they went through a process and they realized, is family. They value family above all else. So they got this job that is sending them to a different country, and they got their kids in school. So they're not willing to uproot their family, so that they're counting the cost. So they may pay me more, but what does it mean on this other side? So you have to do a holistic look at your life, so that yes, they're going to give me more money, but it means that I'm going to uproot my children from what they're used to, and it's going to stress them and going to stress me, and I'm going to end up being miserable, but being paid a lot of money. On the converse, maybe my value is growth, and because I remember meeting this lady who said she took a job because it was paying more, and she had to organize how to not disrupt her child. And she took a job in a different country. So every month she had to come home. So I was telling her, clearly your values were different. You are more motivated by growth. So there's no wrong decision. It is whichever what you value the most. So if you're more, if your value here is growth, you take it, but remember that you're paying a price on this other side. So that's what you have to balance. You look at your life holistically. How is it going to affect my quality of life? How is it going to affect my money? How is it going to affect my family? How is it going to affect where I live, and so on and so forth? You just do. When you do that, you actually make a more informed decision. Yes.
Wow. Thank you for that. And so, a quick one. So, personally, how do you carry on your business? I know you've talked a lot about coaching and how you also help others to help over 13,000 plus, and still counting and still looking out for more numbers, right? But how do you carry on with that? What is that very unique thing that really speaks differently about your coaching program and all that you do?
All right. So what is different about our business, and what I enjoy the most, of course, is what I had talked about, is finding that your value differentiator. It helps you make your unique contribution in the season that you're in. So that's how I carry it out. So I coach. I have a course that I run on, a virtual course that can be taken by anyone, anywhere. It helps people find that X factor, and I also do other trainings, like on leadership. I also do other trainings like on customer experience and building culture and so on and so forth. I do them either virtually or in person. And I've been privileged to travel across this continent and beyond. And I was telling Ubong, for our listeners, that next month I'll actually be coming to Nigeria for some work. Yes,
we're looking forward to that. I think we'll be having a live in Nigeria by next month with Tony Wachira. So let's stay tuned to that. Probably when he's coming at the right time for our magazine. So probably we should also know how to feature that in. But thank you very much, Anthony, for the time. Thank you very much for all the insights you've shared today. Thank you very much for the time you spent with us. I know it's quite late for you where you are, because they're 2 hours ahead of us. But also thank you very much for also sharing that very impactful information. Speaking directly from personal experience, not where you read or something, but when you share your personal experience, we all get to connect. You also get to see ourselves, feel ourselves in your own shoes, and get to connect and see how to make the best decision for our own self. Because we don't always have people ahead of us. It makes a whole lot of sense, and it helps us reduce that whole journey. Right, you can do 10 years journey in 1 year, depending on who is guiding you and how you understand what you're doing. which I know you're very familiar with this, but we very much appreciate it. And to our audience who are here with us, we know we have lots of contributions, lots of questions to also share and all that, but we'll continue this conversation sometime in the future. But stay tuned with us. And if you continue to enjoy this very discussion, please share your feedback, share your questions as much as possible. And Tony will always be available. You can as well connect with him on LinkedIn or any other platform, right? He will always be available to share with you and respond to your questions. Or you can feel free to, reach out to us at any point in time. I'll be here for you. So thank you very much, everybody, for always staying tuned and believing in us. And by next week, we'll have more discussions, more impactful conversation. Trust me, and Now with Manager is here for everybody. It's not here for just Ubong Matthew or our guests, but we're here for all professionals looking to navigate their career, looking to navigate the best way, the smoothest way, the smoothest path. Though it might not be smooth all through, but if you believe and stay determined, you will always get the best out of it. And so thank you very much, everybody. Anthony, before we go, do you have any last word for our audience here today?
Yes, just first of all, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you, Ubong, for inviting me. It's been a pleasure, and I'm okay even staying late because I love this. I was born for this. The only thing I want to tell our viewers is that when you find your X factor, when you find what you're good at, and you combine that with your passions and your values, and you live in that space, that's the most authentic you can be. And you're able to make your unique contribution in whatever season you are, because you're living life in your own terms. So I encourage you to look for that, and it will make your transitions, to make your changes smoother. Make every chapter of your life a bestseller. Make every season of your program a must watch. And if you're looking for a coach, if you're looking to find your X factor, I'm your guy. You can contact me through Ubong, and he can help you figure out how to reach me. Yes.
Thank you very much, Anthony, for that. We really much appreciate. And please, everybody, please continue to follow us, continue to share, continue to come on board, sign up to our newsletter, promote what we're doing, share, subscribe, because your support will continue to bring us here and continue to push us forward, right? The more we have you, the more we continue to build more. I'll be looking forward to see you guys next week, Wednesday. Don't forget, I'm Ubong Matthew, and I'll be here for as long as with more and more guests to share valuable information with you guys. Thank you very much, and have a wonderful day, wonderful night, or wonderful evening or morning from wherever you're joining us from. Bye.
Bye.